Welcome, everyone, Cooking with Heart for Diabetes. So today we're going to talk about the heart connection. So really important to delve into that. Before we get going, I do want to, this is our last class, and I want to say a big thank you to several of you because I went back through and kind of looked at where people are hearing about the courses. And it is getting out there in the community, I see, which is good. We've been working on that. So is Barb Marlin here? Okay, so she was referred by Emma Claire. I wanted to say a big thank you. Lisa Barker, you have referred Christy, right? So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Christy, for coming together there. And we have Sherry and Kathy. So let's see, who was the one that was like, come, Sherry? Okay, thank you, Sherry. So, and you two are sisters, right? Yes. So wonderful. So thank you.
We are.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. So, and thank you everybody else too. I just wanted to recognize people that had referred people to the class. So that's how we build it up, get the word out there. And that's really kind of the number one way I think that the word's gotten out in the 3 years that we've been in existence is by people sharing with other people. So if you see somebody that is wanting to need some support, you can see how you could be here already on the path, just need some new ideas, inspiration, or you're just starting out and you're like, I don't even know where to start, and this is not a program or a diet, like I've said before. And so last night I met a couple that did this class a couple of months ago, and the gentleman was just like, he was beaming, he'd lost 35 pounds. And he was trying to explain, he's like, we use some of your recipes, but we use some other, and I'm like, totally, I don't expect anybody, and it's okay if you don't use any recipes from the class, but you integrate the foundational concepts of the class. That's the success I want for you, because I'm giving you the foundation that you need, and you go with it. So you're going to take it, everybody's going to take it in a little different direction, and that's good. Again, this is not a program or a diet. So in 3 years, when you're feeling great and feeling younger, and your doctor is like, saying, wow, your cholesterol's dropped, all those things that you wanted to happen have happened because you've taken the baby steps, you've kept with the journey. I'm sure it looks completely different, but just know that you came here and made a commitment. And I know some people are doing other things. Maybe they have a health coach, or some people do the Noom thing, all those things together. But I want you here to feel confident moving forward with the steps that you're taking, because you're getting the foundation here. So, so hats off, pat yourself on the back. A big thank you to the Quad Cities Diabetes Association, to Genesis, to Unity Point. Their foundations support this. So, and with this, we're going to be doing a November class that's been full for a couple weeks. Oh, Karen, you made it. Oh,
well, can you hear me?
We hear you? I'm
Can
not
you hear
hearing
me?
you right now.
She must be muted.
Well,
I'm
her
not
thing
muted.
is saying she's not, which means her computer thinks is fooled right now. Her computer thinks it's not muted, but somehow it's not traveling through 20 miles that we are apart.
I'm sad.
Oh, I
I'll just-
know. Well, Karen is one of a handful of awesome diabetes educators that we have. So I'm sorry that you didn't get a chance to hear her. She's awesome. She's just, yeah, and any of the diabetes educators, when you go in to see them, you will go out feeling pumped. It's not time to feel like I should have done this, I need to do that. I know, that's what we go in thinking, all the things we aren't doing. But when you see Karen or Ellen or Donna, they are going to raise you up, and you're going to feel invigorated after you visit them. So please, if you are diagnosed with diabetes, make sure you get in to see Karen, Ellen, Donna. We've got a couple other ones too in the area. They're fantastic. They are. I'd go in a flash to any of them. So I highly recommend them. And you've got the resources in your binder.
Teresa, your volume's not turned down.
No. Well,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I'll try that. I know that is there.
There's a,
It's part of
Echo.
Click, because we're going through ClickShare, this thing here, this thing that goes through there, and so it looks like I'm off, but it should be fine for her to go through there. So, yeah, so sorry.
yeah,
We were rooting for you, Karen, so, yeah.
I'll type my notes in.
Yeah.
I'll send you a chat.
Okay.
Suggesting typing.
Yeah, you can go ahead and type if you want to, and I am happy to read a message from you. So in the chat there, so. Yeah.
Can't type to her. Can she hear you?
She can.
Yes.
She can hear me.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah. It occasionally this happens, but usually not. So okay. I want you to think a moment before we dig into the heart connection to heart. What learnings you've had in the last 4 weeks? You can look over the last week or last 4 weeks, but what things have you started to shift and think about differently, see differently? Label reading. Did anybody try out mindful eating in the last week? Yeah. Okay, go ahead, share.
Well, I just noticed that if I say, and I even made a point to put down my word.
Awesome.
If I was holding it, it seems, it's a lot harder to be mindful about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, great. Now, what is your first name? Joan. Awesome, Joan. So that, the mindful eating is huge. So if you were at Dr. Reddy's presentation last night, one of his main points was he was talking a lot about insulin resistance and obesity and health, overall health and things. And one thing I heard anyways, was just overeating is really hurting us. We're doing this at one time is, here and there is fine, but it's the kind of the habit of overeating, not paying attention to. And so, the mindful eating really, really helps. And today I heard a podcast to this gentleman. He's a guru out of Austin, and he was saying if we could just not even worry about what we're eating, but just not overeat. So it is hard to not overeat, though, if you're eating processed. And we talked about that last week. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to basically go against your hunger signals if you're eating ultra processed, because you're going to be driven to overeat easily. But one step is mindful eating for sure, and then switching to more whole food there. So other learnings in the last 4 weeks that just kind of come to mind.
I paid attention to what, not only what I was eating, but how I was eating it, chewing it more slowly. So I'm really tasting everything, and not just going it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was something that I don't always do.
Yeah, no.
You just automatically eat and don't pay attention to it. Yeah.
Exciting.
Looking at the labels more closely
Mhm.
when I'm at the store.
Are there any certain things that you've been noticing are higher, or you've had to swap out?
Yeah, the sugar contents, are astronomical.
Yes.
So not so much fiber in a lot of them. And I never paid attention to that before.
Yeah. Awesome. Other learnings, this is a journey. Yes,
I
Christy.
just like that. Just buy crackers. You can't buy a cracker that doesn't have fat in it. There is no such thing.
Crackers are really tough. Christy's been looking at crackers.
But just looking for things that are a little higher in fiber and way lower in fat. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
experimenting with pasta bread. I don't know. Like a piece of cardboard.
It is cardboard. You will not.
Tuna stuff on it. It's
Oh, yeah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I have wasa in my cupboard just because I need it as a carrier. Sometimes I'm like, it's so
Yeah.
quick, it's ready. So avocado, tomato, hummus, things like that, I'll put on it. Yes, no, you're not gonna sit down and eat a box of wasa.
We're not gonna.
No, but it's a, yeah, it's a good carrier. I like to have it. It's quick and easy, ready to go. Yeah, and I love that you're looking at the fiber. Fiber is so under just appreciated. It really slows down the blood sugar rise, really does, big time. And then the consequence of that is going to be you're going to feel fuller longer. So just, and there's other kind of micro things that go on in your body with the bugs and things like that in your intestines and communication that goes on there. We're finding more and more about. We know very little about the gut, just so you know. I know there's all kinds of supplements sold out there, but we know very little about it. We know a lot of communication happens there, and the fiber is the primary food that's feeding those bacteria there. So it's all good. It's all good stuff. So yeah, fiber is so underutilized. So if we could up the fiber just from whole foods, that would help a lot. Other observations?
Meat is a compliment.
Meat is a condiment. Peggy.
I mean, that just stuck in my head because that's not,
Yeah.
meat figured out all the other yucky sides. That's what, but I think.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not that way now.
Well, okay, you've got your partner here. So how is it going? You know, are you working it out together? That's a hard change.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I've noticed is the spices really make things taste good. They make it like.
Yeah.
I mean, double batch with smoky beans. We really like that.
Awesome. Wonderful. Beans are so great. So double batch of the smoky beans. Awesome. So, okay, I see a chat here. Karen, she's trying. Oh. So, okay. Oh, you did quite a bit here. Okay. She said, I'm so happy that you have joined Teresa for the last 3 weeks. I am sure you've learned a lot from Teresa to take with you and practice as you manage your journey with diabetes. I wanted to briefly talk to you about the ABCs of diabetes management. Diabetes cannot be cured, but diabetes can be managed. One part of managing diabetes is knowing your numbers and learning the ABCs of diabetes. The A stands for hemoglobin A1C. That's a very important thing to know. The recommended A1C for people with diabetes is less than 7. Some people may have more stringent goals. That's where you need to talk with a diabetes educator, 6.5, and some have relaxed goals of 8. The A1C should be checked at least 2 to 4 times a year. If you don't know your number, ask your provider. Okay, that's good. I didn't know that. So that's great information. The B stands for blood pressure. Managing blood pressure lowers your risk for stroke, heart disease, or eye damage and kidney damage. The goal for people with diabetes is to have your blood pressure 130/80 or less. Are you checking your blood pressure at home? So anybody here checking blood pressure at home? So that's something, ask your doctor about. You can do that, and hopefully coming on the horizon is even blood pressure that's continuously monitored. I heard a speaker today, it's not yet, we're waiting for the FDA to approve it. It's being done in Europe. So that I will love that when that happens. So the C stands for cholesterol. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we've talked to, she says, Teresa, I'm sure, has reviewed the desired values for your lipid levels, and they should be checked at least once a year. Enjoy your last class, and please contact a certified diabetes care and education specialist if you'd like further support with your diabetes management. Yay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, and Karen is she's a registered dietitian and a diabetes educator. So that's a very rigorous certification. So that's ideal to go to somebody with her qualifications, and then she's got tons of experience. So awesome. Have fun tonight. We will. Thank you, Karen, so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Awesome. Well, I love hearing all these things so that you're doing. These are mammoth steps. And even if you didn't share, I know you've been doing things. So, and I don't want you, like I said before, I don't want you to compare to others. So we have Kathy here tonight for the first time. So she's just absorbing this in and she's going to start her journey tonight. So, but it's all about baby steps, Kathy. We just take baby steps. We're compassionate. We all have a different journey to take, and we're going to take that journey. Sometimes we might get a little frustrated with the learnings that we have to learn over and over and over, but we stick with it and we keep going forward, and you will see results and feel results. Okay, so heart disease. I want to hop into it. So I'm going to share my screen. I think, come on. Restarted you so that, come on, share. Wow. I guess it's just me. I'm impatient. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Well, actually, now that I did that, okay, I'm gonna get off. Okay, so because I'm gonna talk about heart disease because I got my illustration here. So okay, so you're here taking changes for your lifestyle to save your life. And so, you know, prevention is what we want to do best we can. And, you know, it hardly costs anything. So I heard a speaker say recently, your investment in your health is your best investment. And I have to agree. So, you know, there's the 401k and all those investments, and those are great if you can get good returns, but I really say your health is your best return. So you're here doing things. So, you know, what's the connection between diabetes and heart disease? Heart disease, #1 killer. So if you had to like take a gamble of how you'd die, disease is where you put your money, so to speak. I know that's a harsh truth, but hopefully we will change that in the coming 20 years. But right now, it's by far the #1 killer. So, you know, we want to focus on what is it, the connection between diabetes and heart disease. So when we have high blood sugars, over time, the high blood sugars can damage your arteries and the nerves that control your heart and blood vessels. So that's a big thing. So accelerates heart disease. And there's actually some chemical changes when you have high blood sugars in your nerves that impair the nerve's ability to transmit signals. So it damages the blood vessels that carry the oxygen with the nutrients to your organs, and your nerves. So there's just a lot of things that go on, but those high blood sugars really affect things. So that's why we see people with diabetes 2 to 4 times higher risk of heart disease. So 2 to 4 times. So that's why when you're diagnosed with diabetes, basically you're booked in a schedule with a cardiologist, because you are under the care of a cardiologist, so that we can prevent some of these things from happening. So contrary to belief, heart attacks don't happen in a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year. They happen over several years. So when you were born, your arteries were clean. So, and they were flexible, and so blood could flow through them freely, and they were elastic. There was no obstructions to reach your heart and your vital organs, like your brain, lung, kidneys, your eyes, arms, and legs. So, okay, so let's get into what happens then over time. So here we have, I have my artery. This is, 1,000 times or so bigger, and it's clean there. So this is like what it is when you're brand new. It carries red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets in there in the bloodstream. And so it's the process of inflammation, which is your body's response to injury or an attack by a virus or bacteria that really gets messed up. So, and it's a combination of things too that happen. So we've got this clear artery And over time, we get a nick in the lining of the arteries. And when a nick happens, a nick can happen from high blood pressure. It's like a really tiny injury on the inside lining there. It can happen from high blood sugars. It can happen from high triglycerides. It can happen from stress, the cortisol. It can happen from smoke, any kind of smoke. Okay, not just this one, but any kind of smoke. I think those are the most of them. So lifestyle factors really affect our artery health. So we get that minute nick, and our body says, oh gosh, we've got an injury. We got to send the troops there to heal it. Well, if we've got things a little out of kink, if our body is just not in tip-top shape, when it responds to that kind of nick, it creates a pimple there. It thinks it's kind of isolating the injury to protect it from growing to other parts of your body, but it makes a bump, like a pus bump there. And that pus bump is inside your lining there. And it's no big deal, but over time, if you've got oxidized things in your bloodstream, floating around, kind of bored, they are going to latch on. And as you get up there in years, we have more of these free radicals that aren't quelched, so to speak. So all those conditions, more insults, more kind of lifestyle factors, they raise the chance that it starts to build up over time. And so on that nick, we start to see it build up. So now at first, this buildup is kind of like pussy, so it's soft, okay? So you've heard of plaque, and when I picture plaque, I think of like on my teeth or something hard, brittle. You've heard like calcium and calcium score and things like that. So over time, that's kind of a later stage thing. Calcium flex will get in there and start to harden it. But at first, your injury response really is mostly platelets and white blood cells and some oxidized LDL that we're kind of bored, okay? So let me back up to like LDL and HDL. So cholesterol is something we need in our body. Every single one of your cells has cholesterol. Every single cell in your body has cholesterol. So your body has to find a way to turn over the cholesterol in your body. And it has a wonderful way. You make it in your liver. Okay, you make 4+ times what you eat in your liver. And that's why we've kind of gone on the downside of really watching our cholesterol in what we eat, because we're making so much of it. Plus, most of our sources in our diet that have cholesterol also are high in saturated fat. So if we just watch the saturated fat, we pretty much have things under check. But you're making it. Now, the thing is too, cholesterol is like a waxy-like substance, and you can't just transport it in the bloodstream. It needs a carrier, like a boat or a package. And the lipoprotein, you've heard, LDL actually stands for low density lipoprotein. HDL stands for high density lipoprotein. So those are lipoprotein packages or boats that transport in your bloodstream cholesterol to do its job. Now the LDL that is what we have more of. That's made in the liver, and that guy is supposed to be going throughout your body and dropping off little bits of cholesterol. Okay, that's the one, that's its job. So, and it does this really great. It's been doing this really great for years. There's little bits of the cholesterol left around. We call them LDL remnants. And the HDL's job is to pick up those remnants and then put it on board and go back to the liver. And then most of that is excreted or repurposed. So we've got this nice little balance that's been going on for a long, long time, until about 50 years ago when we start introducing ultra-processed food. And what happened was our body got overabundance of things like sugar and fat that it really didn't know what to do. It was like in super high amounts, like freaking out. So what's happened is we've seen changes in the shape of your LDL. And the LDL, there's two major sub shapes. One is big fluffy, one is small dense. And they're on that LDL carrier and they go around, but the problem is the small dense, they don't really work with our system that we've had forever as well. They're small dense. They're denser than we've had for hundreds of thousands of years. What happens in a pool when you have something denser? Does it float or does it sink? It sinks. And in your blood, you've actually got kind of like this motion of your blood because it's pumping through your body 100,000 times a day. Your heart is pumping in 60,000 miles. So you've got to have a really tip-top shaped system. And so if you can imagine kind of a wave just keep going around, it's kind of the system your body has. And the LDL, the big fluffy, catches the wave, so to speak, and just is transported. But it doesn't happen with the small dense. The small dense are too heavy and they sink. And so they sink, and now they're like, well, what do? I don't have any work to do. I'm bored. I'm going to party. I'm going to look for a nick. And they tend to find nicks because they're not doing their job. And they find nicks and they get into the nicks. They tend to oxidize very easily, it's not a good thing. It usually leads to damage. So you can see there's several different kind of things that need to happen for the perfect storm. You get the nicks, you get the small dense LDL that aren't keeping to their job, and then you get these high sugar, high saturated fat. We know that your body is okay with a little bit of saturated fat. It's the high amounts getting it at once, but it really does not do well with in like a day's time. And it freaks out and we get inflammation. And inflammation is kind of a freaked out state that it puts things in your bloodstream like platelets. It attacks itself, anything that it finds it just says, oh no, that I need to do something here. So all this kind of off-kilter conditions create the plaque buildup that we get that builds up and builds up and builds up. And it's soft at first. And I make that mention because most heart attacks are ruptures of soft plaque. Now, once it's hardened with the flex, my orange flex here of calcium, it's still not good. It's hard and it narrows. Think about it. It's hardened, it's going to narrow, it's going to constrict that delivering of oxygen, all that you have to do. But when it's soft, what can happen is your body will catch it and kind of like accidentally pick it. The waves and the blood will catch it and pull it back like a scab. Like if you've got a really big scab and you pick it and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And you're like, I gotta pat it down. So now you've got this exposed wound. Now think of that in the inside. If this were to peel back, it would obstruct more of it. Now a little might break off and you hear ruptures and you might think, oh, a piece broke off. That's the danger part. In all honesty, this doesn't create the problems that this does. So yes, this could lead to a stroke. Yes, in some cases it does, but most all times what happens is now this is here, we've got exposed stuff that your body now is trained to say, we have a wound. I'm going to send the cavalry there. But it's a little out of funk because of your lifestyle. And so it kind of overdoes it. It spews these kind of chemicals there. It puts plaque there, build up clotting. And now what we find is after that rupture, it grows, like really grows fast. And it's after a rupture, a couple weeks later or so, that we get the blockage. So, and that's where you end up with a heart attack or angina, and then you're in at the cardiologist saying, I'm just out of breath and it hurts. So, and hopefully we'll do some tests and catch that. But most heart attacks happen from a rupture of the soft plaque. And I'm not saying soft plaque is worse than hard plaque, because once it hardens with those calcium flecks, It's hard to reverse. We're going to talk about that in a second, but it's hard. So you've now you're not going to have a rupture problem, but you're just going to have a narrowed tube problem. And most likely around where you're having this, think about it, your arteries are less flexible. And it's problems stew. So it's not unusual for somebody to have stents over and over in the same place, like over and over and over. My dad had 23 stents. Yes. So they were only a couple places, and he would have had more because your body it's kind of like a weak point. It's a point where all these things, a perfect storm tends to happen. So that is how we get heart problems. And high blood sugars are one of many. It's not the only problem, but we know that it's a big contributor to the NICs, to the poor inflammation response. So we know that when your blood sugar goes up quickly, even if it stays within normal range and down, we create inflammation, steep climbs. If it's 1 or 2, that's not so bad, but it's the kind of having a medium, an average that's going quite wide, so that you're going up and down. So all these things put you at risk. So keeping your blood sugars in check is really, really important, and your blood values too. So, okay, so let's hop over back to here where we're sharing and go through some things a little more specific to, can we reverse this? What do we need to do to stabilize? Because that's kind of the terminology we use for the soft plaque, is we need to stabilize it because it's basically unstable when we're talking about the soft plaque. Okay, so here we've got Jed Black. He's a 55-year-old medically retired plumber who had a heart attack 5 years ago. He's currently taken 9 different meds for his heart, his blood pressure, and his diabetes. He quit smoking 10 years ago, and since has gained 22 pounds, which he blames on his inability to exercise. He often gets short of breath when he lies in bed and feels better when he uses 3 pillows under his head. He's bitter about the fact that his friends are still working and apparently healthy. He asks, why did I get a heart attack? Why me? Now, heart disease is a progressive disease. It doesn't stop after one heart attack. The reason that Jed had a heart attack and his friends did not is a result of many things coming together. So some of the factors are not under Jed's control, such as maybe the specific genes he inherited from his parents. Now, genes affect structure and functions in the body, such as the size of the arteries and the ability to resist plaque buildup. However, there's several factors that are under Jed's control, and he has not accepted them. He could have taken control for these risk factors as a young adult, and it would not have affected him in his middle age. So heart disease, plaques, and Jed's arteries have been growing since birth, and his lifestyle factors have contributed to increasing the plaque are high blood pressure, high blood sugar, smoking, and extra weight. Now, yes, he stopped smoking, and yes, he's lost weight. So those are all good things now, but that was not true when he had his heart attack. It's not too late to reduce his risk factors. It's a progressive disease, heart disease, and your lifestyle either grows the plaque or keeps the arteries clean and smooth. Now, Dan, he's 49. He's a bus driver. He quit smoking 2 years ago. He blames his obesity on his sedentary job and his high blood pressure due to the stress of dealing with the public. His diabetes is not well controlled. He knows he needs to reduce his LDL cholesterol to less than 50. And if he follows his doctor's advice, he wants to know, how long is it going to take to reverse my plaque buildup? Dan must first understand that the heart disease in his arteries has been developing since birth. It's been accelerated by his less than ideal lifestyle and his poor compliance with taking his meds. The rate of reversal of his heart disease is going to depend on his extent to comply with his doctor's recommendations. Now, assuming he's compliant and he gets his diabetes, high blood pressure, and weight under control, his outlook is good. The first thing Dan wants to do is stabilize the plaque in his arteries. That includes reducing the inflammation in the plaque. Studies have demonstrated that plaques can be stabilized within 30 days of starting aggressive medical therapy and lifestyle changes. Furthermore, reversal of some plaques can be demonstrated after 12 months and at 2 years. The rate of reversal depends on many factors, but control of the heart disease risk factors is so key right now, since heart disease plaque can rupture at any time. Dan should not delay in initiating his lifestyle and medication changes. So what are the numbers you want for plaque reversal to stabilize and plaque to get under things so that you can start to reverse them? So LDL under 70. Now you'll hear 100 is a good one. Your doctor might even say that, your chart might say that, but if you really want to start looking at reversing, we want to go lower than that. So, and it's okay if it's done with medication. HDL greater than 60 and higher is fine. Again, that HDL is cleaning up. Statistically, think about it. If you got the HDL, grabbing on any of those small dense LDL remnants, then you don't have much chance of the plaque happening in there. So now we think our ancestors were probably 50 to 70 LDL. So we want to get it closer to that. The HDL greater than 60, you can get as high as 100, okay, for your HDL. Triglyceride, now, and the HDL is really good at reducing the inflammation in your arteries, really good at stabilizing that plaque. Triglyceride, you'll see the charts 150, I like under 100. Just saying. Now, triglyceride comes from the food you eat, both fat and sugar. Okay, sugar is a big contributor to everything we're talking about, even though I haven't mentioned it. So, because when you give an influx of sugar to your body, you're basically, your body, for hundreds of thousands of whatever long you think we've been on this earth, it has never seen sugar like we've seen. Never, ever. It does not know what to do. Your bloodstream in between meals, once you've digested a meal, has, like, you know, Dr. Reddy last night said, like a teaspoon or half a teaspoon. That's all you have in all your bloodstream. And then we eat 19 teaspoons in a drink. Our body really freaks out. There is no body that doesn't freak out with that amount of sugar. And basically your body is trained to, hey, if we can, let's pack it on as fat, because we're going to have starvation sometime, lack of food, inadequate food. So let's just store it. So that it's doing what we see it's doing. And when in order to take the sugar and pack it as fat in your midriff, is where most of us, if we're over 40, are going to do, it has to turn its triglyceride first. And that's easy peasy for it, guys. It's easy. It is made to turn things to triglyceride easily. And then you store it as adipose. So all these things happen. If your triglyceride is high and your HDL is low, you're 6 times more likely to have a heart attack. That means if your HDL is low, it means you're not cleaning up inflammation. You've got things circulating for that perfect storm, that rupture. And then your triglyceride, you got, oh my goodness, you have a little bit thicker blood. The triglycerides are, oh my goodness. It's just, it's a heart attack waiting to happen. Okay, so what do you need to eat more of to reduce the inflammation and to get the LDL, especially small? We want to get more of the big fluffy. So fiber is just so great. We were talking about fiber before class, but fiber in whole foods, that's going to be oats and barley and beans. So that's great with the beans that you're having more of. So those are awesome ways, more vegetables and fruits. So the oats and barley in particular are fantastic for clearing, to lowering LDL. So as far as food goes, and barley, they both have this thing called beta glucan. It's a type of fiber that's really great for grabbing onto cholesterol and forcing your bile to get rid of some of the cholesterol it's got. Healthy fats. Fat is not bad. Okay. Now, fat becomes bad when it, it's more calorically dense. So if it leads to weight gain, not good. Okay, more calories than we're expending. It's not a perfect equation, that whole equation, but you know what I mean. And or if it's saturated fat. Okay, but things like olive oil, avocado, nuts. Okay. Today, when I went home to drop my child off, I had 2 small handfuls of nuts because I didn't have time to do dinner. So that, that's an easy way to hold me. I got protein, I got good fat, I got lots of fiber and different things in it. Now, a cup full of nuts, that's a little too much. But I'm just saying that's my kind of go-to when I don't know what's going to happen in the evening. I didn't have time. So that kind of thing. So, healthy fats. I don't want you to be afraid of fats. And then fish is really good for that triglyceride. It is so, if you have a high triglyceride, having fish 1 to 2 times a week is going to work magic in just a couple of months. Okay, eating less. I hate talking about what we need to eat less of, and I don't want you to make this like your action step, but I want you to be aware of excess calories. Bingo. When we have more calories, our body has to work more, has to do something with it, and it doesn't end up good. Added sugar and saturated fat. That's just what I said, but those are the things. So over 10 grams of saturated fat, your body, there's nothing that says no saturated fat is better than 10. Okay, nothing says that. But when we get over 10, we're kind of getting into, and you can see a dietitian if you want to get an exact number of what that is, but for most of the public, 10 grams saturated fat. Added sugar, we talked about that. No more than 24 grams of added sugar for a female per day, everything. And for a male, 36 grams. Sounds like a lot, but when you have it, you usually, there's a little bit in everything, and then you blow it with a Starbucks or a sweetened tea or something like that. You're like double, triple. Okay, so we need to get cooking. I need to get that fish in there so we can cook that. But think about what your one takeaway is. I'm going to grab the fish and we're going to start cooking that. We're going to make salmon the easiest way ever. So think about that. After I get the fish in, remind me, I'll get your takeaway. So those at home, you want to send me your takeaway in the chat, and we've got action steps. And I really, here I talk mostly about eating, but I want to tell you for inflammation, for stabilizing your plaque, exercise, stress reduction, sleep, and eating. Those are your lifestyle pillars, so start with the easiest one. So, but and when I said, I don't even like that word exercise movement, because some of us just don't have a good relationship with exercise. So movement works, and even like 10 minutes, if you can get it in, 10 minutes, and make it fun, do it with somebody, okay? Most of my friends know, hey, can we do a walk and talk? That's what I do with my girlfriends a lot. We just go walking together and chit chat for an hour or so. So we don't go fast. Okay, let's get back out here. I'm going to switch my cameras. Let's see. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted. I want to get over here to devices. Okay, keep hitting that camera. Sorry about that, you guys at home. Device settings, there we go. And then we want to go down here. Okay, you are blocking me right now. There we go, thank you. There we go, room camera. So I have salmon. Salmon is, I think, the most acceptable of the highest omega-3 fish. So omega-3 fish, the highest, they're all great. Omega-3, which are the things that magically lower your triglycerides. But salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring are the highest. They're like we call the premium omega-3s. They spell out the word smash. So just write the word smash down, and then just think about it. Salmon, and think Norway, So mackerel, anchovies, sardines, herring, okay? I know, those are hard ones for me, and I'm Norwegian, so I don't know, I didn't grow up with them, so, but just, so that's why we do salmon. I know tilapia, catfish, cod, those are all great. The only ones I say no, no, no to are tuna. Sorry, guys, unless you get Safe Catch in the can, because it's high in mercury. Shark, what's the other one? Tilefish and something fin. So those they're older and bigger fish, so they have more mercury in them. So our waters are pretty dirty with mercury. So actually, I want to get it bigger. It's right here.
Good.
Safe Catch is a brand for canned that they test every single fish. So if I were making tuna fish, I would get that kind of tuna maybe once a year at a fine restaurant, which is not my go-to thing to do, but I would order tuna steak. I love tuna, but it's just high in mercury, so I go with salmon.
What's the second essence name?
Sardines.
So.
I know. So if you find a recipe that is what I call universally delicious in those other fishes, let me know. So I'd love to try it. So, okay, I'm checking real quick to see if these are too fat. They're not too bad. Okay, sometimes salmon gets to be like this in the middle. Then you want to cut that off because you're going to have trouble, especially if you pan, but we're going to be baking it, so we're okay. So we're just going to put this, these are nice size here. We're going to put these here. I'm going to switch my cutting board and my glove there. Okay, so we're going to put together really easy. These are things that you probably, or you could easily start having on hand to make a fish. So I want to make it as easy as possible. So we are just going to mix together these things. Olive oil, remember, extra virgin olive oil. So this is definitely what I recommend. Has anybody switched their olive oil since starting the class? Okay, good. Because I want you to be comfortable using olive oil. Again, we don't want to get to the point where we're gaining weight from it, but I want you to use it to add flavor to things. So we've got our olive oil here. And then I've got some garlic. I just use the jar. You can use fresh if you want to. So jar is perfectly fine to use that. And then I've got some Italian seasoning. It's a seasoning. It doesn't have salt added to it. It's a nice, you can, those that are here, you can smell that. It's a nice kind of, not kicky kind of thing. And then I have herbs de Provence. A lot of times I'll use herbs de Provence. Anybody know herbs de Provence? So it's got like a lavender in there, a nice, sometimes fennel. It's a little different. There's no like standard one you must have recipe, but it's a nice, it doesn't go on the spicy. It's just complex. So, and I had a friend that was French, grew up there, and he would cook all the time. That was like, I mean, he would go through so much of herbs de Provence on vegetables, on chicken, on everything. It is really good. So if you don't, try it out. No, at Walmart, this was it. It's just, we just don't know about it. So, so I'm just going to sprinkle a tad bit of, whoa, that came out. That was, sorry. That was the big hole. Whoops. Okay. So, okay. So we're going to mix, oh, I need my lemon juice here. You can use bottle if you want, but I'd like to use lemon because I want to slice lemon and put it on top. So if you've been in my other class, you know that lemon is great with fish because it takes out the fishiness. Culinary people will say it cleans the palate. So what it does is it changes the component. When people say I don't like fish because it's fishiness, they're picking up on the amines. That's what happens when you you kill a fish and its muscles start this amines in them, and the amines give it the fishy smell. When we add lemon, it changes the amines to what's called a salt. It's not salty like the salt we talk about in class, but it cleans it up. It like disappears it. So anybody who's like, I really just don't like fish, maybe if they tried with lemon, because if you look, most recipe, I mean, not most, but like 70% of the recipes out there have lemon. So, and that's why. So we're just going to put lemon on top there. Then there, we're just going to put it in, and that's it. Going to put that in for 15. So are these things that you could have on hand? Yeah, yeah. So this is something you could whip together. So start thinking about as you like finish up the class, you know, reflect on what recipes did potentially have, you know, is something that you could make or more of that you really like or love. I really want you to be into that love. I love this. So then start thinking about how do I make it easier? The first thing is you got to make it a couple times. You really do. Because the first time it's fun, but it takes a long time. You have to be, you know, energy, that kind of thing. But when you make it about 3 or 4 times, then you got it down. You can make your notes on the recipe. And then you can start thinking about how do I even make it easier? Do I put the seasonings together? Can I double this and freeze half? So what are ways that you can just make it so easy that you're going to make it more often and you're going to look forward to it? So just measuring out the seasonings or putting the recipe on the refrigerator or somewhere, not burying the recipe. So just things like that. If you recopy it, you know, in your kind of the way you think, you know, so any of those things to make it easier. So, okay, now overnight oats. So how many of you done overnight oats before? Okay, so what have you done, Sherry?
What have I done?
Yeah, tell us about what you found.
Well, I've done the overnight oats with blueberries and almond milk, unsweetened, and cinnamon.
Did you like the flavor?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
One of them I had the chocolate powder in it, the Hershey's chocolate powder. It was with raspberries
Oh,
and the oats.
chocolate raspberries are a good combination.
So I have chia seeds and roasted almonds.
Oh, wow. Nice, nice. Was it easy for you?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So the nice thing about this is you can switch up. The taste is really, for most people, they find one of the two to be really appealing. And you can make it ahead. So it's something you could make 4 or 5 for the week. And I do recommend a bigger container than this. I need it.
Keep in the fridge though.
5 days. You can. It might thicken up, and the Greek yogurt kind of gives it a creaminess and thickness. You just need to add a little milk to it then. I like mine hot. I will do it and heat up for like 90 seconds, and then it's like warm up hot oatmeal. It's not like raw. You'll taste it tonight because when it does the overnight soaking, it soaks the oats. So, but I just like hot. I really like hot. So let's see. I'm going to grab a bowl here to mix this up real quick because it doesn't quite fit perfectly. So we're going to make the blueberry one. So the blueberry has a 1/4 cup of the Greek yogurt and a little nutmeg and cinnamon in there. And then I used wild blueberries. Heidi had them, so frozen, so that was nice. So the wild blueberries are smaller. They have more skin, and because they have more skin, they're going to have more phytochemicals in them, the defenses from them. So that's really nice. So here we add the milk. Wow. Okay. Yes, that's the problem. Our refrigerator is so good at keeping things cold. It freezes things. So, Okay, we're gonna add a 1/3 cup of the milk here. So this was interesting. I found this at Hy-Vee. Now, this was sitting out. It was not in the refrigerated section. I did notice, okay, there's UHT milk that like is soy milk, plant milk. I did have a chance to like spend a lot of time at the Hy-Vee I went to, and it was the one on Devil's Glen in Bettendorf. But the nice thing is this is smaller than the big carton. You don't have to refrigerate it till you open it. It still does have a lot of ingredients though. I like the soy that I get at Trader Joe, the UHT, it's in a box, because it's only soy. That's all it is, and water. There's no other guar gums or other additives, whereas this has quite a few additives in it. So, but the advantage is it is a carton that you don't have to put in the refrigerator, and then when you open it, it's not as big as the others. So, okay, so we're going to add the milk here. If you find some UHT soy milk around here, let me know. I have to. Well, they do have it at Walmart. It's just that it's in like double the size. So, okay. So I'm just going to mix that together. And then we got our maple syrup, 2 teaspoons of that, and a tablespoon of our chia. Now the chia looks kind of like birdseed. So it has omega-3, but it's plant omega-3s. It's not the same as the fish omega-3s. It's still good. It seems to be helpful with insulin sensitivity. Still weak on the studies for blood pressure, but we know it's helpful for heart disease. It's just not the same as fish oils. So I don't want you to think that it's if somebody absolutely isn't going to have fish, then I would tell them, yep, let's have chia seed, flaxseed, walnuts, things like that, which have the plant omega-3s, but they're just not quite the same. So, okay. So you see, there we go. We got that. Oh, I forgot to put the oats. So the oats, we want to put those in. Now they will soak up. It just like barely fits in there, but it does. So I'm going to get another bowl for my chocolate one. The chocolate one is real simple. So let me add my milk. Where's my yogurt? Did I get my yogurt? I thought I didn't the yogurt. Well, do I need one here? No. Okay, well, let me grab the yogurt. So, plain Greek yogurt, just like this. So, if you try and find it in small containers, you'll spend a half an hour at the counter looking for that. For some reason, I couldn't even find it at Hy-Vee today when I was there. I was like, I have given up on trying to find it. About a 1/4 cup is what I have here. 1/4 cup of the oats there, a little bit of the maple syrup, and we have cocoa. So oh, here it is. That's why. Okay. Well, I did it backwards. So that's what you disguised me because there was the cocoa there. So we add a little bit of cocoa there. So cocoa has the fiber in there. So we're going to mix that with the chia. I just need my chia. So we'll mix that up. Now, if I had one of these, it would probably work. It would work. I just don't have enough. I need 6 of these. I need to collect a few more. So you could shake it up in here. You need a little room at the top to do the shaking because that yogurt, you're not going to be able to. Oh well, you see what I got. So,
Chia seeds in that.
Yes. There's chia seeds in there, and we'll just leave this. You'll pretend that we. So I did this earlier so that we have some to taste here. So let's get that. So for the cocoa, just a couple things. Make sure it doesn't have the red ribbon because it's roasted a little longer. We lose some of the polyphenols in there. So the topping. So for the ones that we've got prepared, you just need 4 hours. So, and these are super high in protein. So here we're just going to add, I'm going to actually dump it out so that we can taste these. So we're gonna put on blueberries and walnuts on top there, but so we can taste these. But you can see I just did this at like 1 o'clock today. You see how that thickens up? So you could heat that up. It's all ready. So we're gonna put blueberries and walnuts on top. So, really a great breakfast. It's gonna fill you up. We got fiber, we got protein. So that's 1 serving, and then 1 serving of the chocolate. So the chocolate has some, you do want to, maybe not every day because it's saturated fat. So we want to watch that because it's getting up there with saturated fat. You just watch it. This is plant. So plant is definitely better than animal. So, and we're going to add a little bit of peanut butter on the top there. So a little peanut butter. A little bit of peanuts there, and a little bit of chocolate, dark chocolate. For the dark chocolate, I usually do about 60% to 70%. I don't usually go higher than 70% because that is really bitter if you go higher than 70%. So, the percentage is, the other percentage is the sugar. So if this is 60% cocoa, then it's 40% sugar. So when we get up to 70, got less sugar. When we get up to 90, we got a lot less sugar, but you're going to taste that cocoa is going to come through that liqueur. So, and the sugar, we kind of need a little bit of that in there. So these are unsalted nuts too. A lot of people don't realize they have them at Hy-Vee and Walmart. So that's a nice combination there. So this is going to fill you up. It's going to be delicious. It's got fiber. It's got lots of good phytochemicals in there with the cocoa and the dark chocolate and the nuts. So, so those are ones, play around with the recipe. If you don't like it so thick, then add more milk and, make it your own. If you want to back down the sweetener, add a little, half a teaspoon more, that's okay. You want to make it delicious. You want to make it something that you look forward to, that you're like, oh, I can't wait to sit down and have my overnight oats, my blueberry coffee cake overnight oats. So, okay, I know how are we doing for time? We got 3 minutes. Let me get your takeaways. So, and, did you get a chance to write? Anybody have a chance to write your takeaways?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I lost the stuff.
You lost it. Oh, you do. Okay, awesome. So it's okay if you don't. I just like to help all of us learn a little bit more. So by repeating some of these, so that's fine. So keep track of your numbers. Move more. Under 10 grams saturated fat, more fiber, whole foods, less processed, lower triglycerides through eating. How important fiber is in our diet. Awesome. Anybody have anything they want to add to that? Sounds great, guys. So, and you've got the post assessments there. Take a moment to really celebrate what you've done. So moving up, 1 number is huge, guys. Some of these things are really tough to start, half of what you're eating, fruits and vegetables. That's a really tough one. That's why I focus a lot on easy ways that we can get in more fruit. And, we've done the first class cauliflower salad and the triple powered smoky tortillas, that had lots of veggies in there. So that's a hard one. Eating till 80% full. That's just a whole different way of being in our culture. So, if you're starting to move that direction, if you're able to pass on something that is your favorite food and not feel like you're missing out, and know that you feel good because you're making a decision on behalf of what your goal is your primary goal is at this point. So, and when you eat it, you don't feel guilty. So there's no guilt. So, and even if you overeat, I'm talking about, don't feel guilt. The worst thing you can do is feel guilt. The food has no guilt, no shame, there's no such thing. You know, we assign all these words to food. Food is just food. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not indulging. It's food. And yes, we're supposed to enjoy it. We also want to look at what our goals are. And sometimes in our lifetime, you know, our goals aren't health, and that's totally fine. So, you know, food has different purposes. And right now you're wanting to enjoy it and fulfill your health goals. So awesome. So action steps, take a moment to do your action step there. Make sure you continue on the, you know, this journey by setting baby steps. So I don't know if you have a time that you're going to check in each week and just kind of reflect back with what you've learned and what you want to do that next week. A lot of times it can, for some people, it's when they, you know, plan out their menus or grocery shop, make that list, that kind of thing. But do a quick check-in every week. Okay, you know, this is, I just want to, and holding it is fine. Just holding it where you are. If that is, for many times, that's going to be plenty. So, and then start, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to take a baby step? I want to work on this. So I realized that I could use some more of this, or I want to know about that. So, and in your conversations, you're going to pick up things with people. So, well, thank you very much. I'm going to get the fish out, and we're going to enjoy that and the overnight oat. And I'd love to have you guys pass on the word to other people that you meet. We'll be starting our next classes in January. We'll have 2 classes. The cooking, let me do this a little longer. Cooking with Heart for Cancer will start at the beginning of January. Mid-January, Cooking with Heart Foundational, and then February, Cooking with Heart for Diabetes. We'll be doing another one of these. You're more than welcome to do this again. Bring your support people along. And also the Trinity and Genesis Foundations, you know, they support these classes. You do have an envelope in the back of your binder. If you feel like making a donation, we're thrilled with any kind of donation there to support. You can do it online. There's, I'll be sending you an email with a link in it. If you can just make sure when you select things that you put it for cardiology services, because then it goes to support the cooking classes there. So, but we appreciate any kind of donation there. This is all part of our mission to raise the health of the community. So we just love doing that. I feel blessed to be able to do this and help people where they are take the steps that will bring them one step closer to their goal.